his little thing about, I'm from a different era. I would have courted you. I would have had lemonade on it. And I said, apparently he's from the era of the Duggars. What the fuck? I mean, I know he's from 19 whatever, but Jesus fucking Christ, you're in the 21st century, you old bitch. Like,
exactly.
Why? Like, why?
That's what I said. I said, well, we see the Mormon undertones because he's talking about
Oh
waiting
my
for marriage.
God.
But like, girl,
We would have had tea on the
she's
porch.
over here.
What?
He's literally about to fight for his life tomorrow. Hi, I'm Kyle, a tired therapist.
And I'm Jackie, also a tired therapist.
And together, we are
Two tired therapists. Welcome to the pod.
Producer Dexter probably like it.
Okay, so it's a bad joke.
It kind of, not really, but kind of. So, what's the difference between a dirty bus station
Oh, God.
and a lobster with breast implants?
I have no idea.
Have you heard of it before?
No.
One is a crusty bus station, and one is a busty crustacean.
That's pretty good.
My friend Joan told me that.
That's pretty
I thought That
good.
was hilarious.
I'm surprised Justin doesn't want to tell his joke that he heard the other day
Oh.
from one of our friends.
Oh, I would love to hear
But
it.
he's not going to credit.
On that note,
I remember
welcome.
it. I'll tell it to you if you want.
Oh, please, please.
So, it's did you hear about the fire at the cheese factory in France?
No.
All that was left was debris.
Oh.
That got me.
That's
I don't know
good.
why.
That's good.
But it was, our friend did it in like casual conversation. So it was like, we were talking about current events and he was like, did you hear about the cheese factory?
Like
that.
really went
Yeah.
into
And
it.
I was,
love that.
I'm like, is this real?
You
And
were like,
then-
I'm learned. I don't remember.
And Justin did
anything.
not laugh when he heard it. I was shocked. And then he was like, I'm going to steal that. And I'm like, you can't steal it if you didn't laugh at it.
Right.
That's fine.
Well, this will be.
Like, yeah, here we are. We're
I
just
don't
here.
know. I don't know. I thought I
We
could
don't do
get
the intros anymore.
I thought I could get myself together by going to Burger King before I got here for some onion rings and a Diet Coke, and 50% of that was fulfilled because I got a regular Coke. So I don't know. We'll have to see how this goes.
So Burger King's on the shit list
Burger
right now.
King's on the shit list. Yeah. But Jackie, what's going on with you? What's going on?
Oh my.
It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. We're recording on a not off really for us. Sort of off. Not as planned.
No, we've really not been like regular with
No,
our
we need to get better.
scheduling.
No. Stuff is good. It's almost March.
Yeah.
I
And
love
it's
that.
basically winter still.
But the weather is not winter, which is a problem.
The
But
weather can't make up its mind.
no.
Like it snowed today.
Yeah, it's yeah. Well, and when we woke up, Justin's like, it snowed overnight, and I'm thinking it's like all over, and there was hardly anything, and I'm like, why would you say it's it's barely like it's not even stuck? Like you can, excuse me.
She's so upset. Acid reflux. So upset.
Oh my God, the Vizzies. You know
The
these are.
Vizzy.
I'm not a fan. Do you like?
I don't
you
do
don't do seltzers?
spicy water. No.
I thought I have had they make big tall cans that are nice. Maybe
Mhm.
this is what I'm tired of. They make the big tall, which the big tall cans are like better. I think the small cans taste like spicy water, but
Yeah.
the tall cans of Vizzy are like
What is that? A cherry lime?
a black cherry lime.
Oh, I
It's
love-
not bad. It tastes
yeah.
like I don't know, like cherry limeade or something like that.
Mhm.
That's what it tastes like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a fan of the what is it? It's the Bud Light seltzers. Those are actually pretty good. Specifically, the lemonade ones are pretty
Okay.
good.
Well, those are alcoholic.
Yeah.
Is it fizzy?
This is alcoholic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't
I'm
like.
drinking on the pod today.
I'm glad I didn't like grab one on the way to work one day. Like,
Oh
I
my
think I'll
God.
try
I read a
this.
story about somebody who did that, but with that it was their kid. So it was like their elementary school kid. They thought they were grabbing like a just a sparkling water, but
It
grabbed.
was a Four Loco.
Yeah, it was whatever. And like
Was it really?
the school, yeah, and the school like it was on Reddit, and the school called them
Ugh.
and was like, I can't, like, how did this happen? And they said in their fridge, they were in their like garage fridge or whatever, like they were next to each other and they just weren't even looking, just grabbed
Sure.
whatever.
I'm
And
sure.
the school wanted like a meeting and was like a whole, and I'm like,
Probably
oh
called
my God.
DCS.
They probably did.
Well,
But anyways, that's what I'm tired of. The
it's an
Vizzies,
epidemic.
the tall Vizzies,
Mhm.
they taste better. The
Mhm.
short ones, no,
Mhm.
we don't like. Not
Good
hate,
to
but
know.
it's not as good.
Might as well be.
Yeah, it's true. And I know you're tired of Burger King.
Well, I am
And their
tired of burger,
bullshit.
but I have something. I have a bonus. I have one that I was actually going to be tired of. Was
Do tell.
so ads on like Facebook and YouTube, like when you're watching videos.
Sure.
I don't know if maybe this is the boomer in me, coming out again.
Maybe.
But like, especially, I think YouTube is what I hate the most. Because like, I'll put on like YouTube videos like when I'm getting ready for work and stuff. And like, if you don't skip the video, they'll just keep playing ads until you skip it. And it's like sometimes, and
they crack the code on that, I guess.
And they're never they're not targeting me by any means. So it's like you could at least target me if you're gonna make me like.
I want to feel stalked.
One was for a breast pump, which I don't do. To anyone wondering,
yeah,
never have, probably never will. I guess I shouldn't say never, but
you never know.
Like random stuff like that, and I'm like, could you at least buy my data from Facebook and like target some ads for me?
Oh my god.
I got to get back to watching Paternity Court. I don't have time to be listening to a breast pump.
Paternity Court.
I love Paternity Court.
Oh yeah, I've seen some episodes.
Judge
it's
Lauren Lake.
Yes, yeah, I've seen clips of her stuff. Yeah,
so good. Edward will be like, he'll be like, if I'm like, I'm gonna get ready for bed, he'll be like, are you gonna watch Paternity Court? I'm like, yeah.
I love it. It's like Maury, but it's better.
Oh, it's so much. Oh, and I get into it.
Oh my god.
I get into it.
You know what old school show that I love that was it's like similar to that, but I don't think it's on anymore, but it was on like 10 years ago. My mom will love this because I made her watch it with me for a while. Cheaters. So like they would go.
Oh my god.
Did you ever watch Cheaters? Oh my god. That was like
fully 10 years old watching it like.
Yeah. I got into it in my like late teens, early 20s, and they just always played the reruns, and what the host at one point got stabbed in the middle of like a confrontation. So like what they would do is the part, like if Kyle and I were dating, for everybody who's never seen the show, and I thought Kyle was cheating on me, I would call the show, the host would come and he was always dressed in all black. They always were all dressed in black. And they would have private investigators that would like track the significant other.
Right.
And if it was okay, like they were living together, they'd put cameras inside the house, which that was always the juiciest, because of course they would catch shit. Right. So they would catch shit. The host would come up to the person who contacted them and was like, hey, you know, they're cheating. They'd show you all these like montage
it was
of
a
like
report. There was always a report.
There's a report,
a debriefing,
and they're like, guess what? They're at the pool lounge right now. You want to go confront them? And then they would go confront them, and
running,
it was running like Maury, like a la Maury,
right,
you know, like
you are not the father. Yeah.
Oh, so that was peak TV.
Yeah.
I love
and then
that
it's
shit.
always and then the person cheating also running away.
Yes, running, or like completely denying like nothing happened.
Right. Oh, this is my sister.
It was always so disappointing when the couple left together, like after like literally confronting them, seeing them with another person, and then they were like, "I'm so sorry, baby, I love you." There was a guy that was like having sex with a lady in his like his truck.
Sure.
His like semi truck.
Sure. Yeah.
But the original host got stabbed in the middle of a confrontation on a boat. I don't think they don't I don't think they run the episode anymore. But I only knew about it after, because I googled why they changed hosts. This is so off topic, but it was interesting. But yeah, he got stabbed. Like, he didn't die, but I think he was like, no, I'm done after this.
It's dangerous.
Joey
work.
Greco was the original host who got stabbed.
Yeah. Dangerous work. It's dangerous work to out the cheaters.
That would be a dream job for me.
That would be like you'd be on Reddit.
Oh my god.
Looking up their Reddit.
Well, it's so easy now with social media. This was like pre-social media. Like this was not like you could be looking at there was Facebook, but it wasn't like.
But people still hide it. They still hide it really well.
I know, it was crazy.
I don't have that much energy.
Same. That's what I told Justin. I was like, I don't know. It's too hard now. I'm not doing that.
Like, I'm not gonna cheat. I'll just ignore you if I don't like you.
I'll just straight up say bye.
Bye. Yeah. It's time to go. Yeah.
Or I just won't speak to you anymore.
Speaking of cheaters, but not really.
Well, you and I have a lot to discuss. Well,
we do have. You're right. We do have a lot to discuss today.
Yes.
About this topic.
Yes. Well, we decided we'll just do Eclipse.
Yeah.
The movie.
Our continuation of our.
TBD on Breaking Dawn.
Critically
critically acclaimed.
Our critically acclaimed, award-winning.
Maybe we will actually win an award. That'd be so funny.
Can you believe? I don't think that would ever happen.
Can you believe someone's like, guess what?
This is our peer-reviewed. Oh
my god.
Our peer-reviewed
article. I got
article.
some feedback about our Twilight episodes. All pretty positive.
You know, people really love Twilight.
Yeah. And I just want to make it clear that I'm not really shitting on Twilight, because I do like Twilight, but I think it's important to find the silly in it now as an adult. Like, I mean,
yes,
I'm not like this is not me saying I'll never watch it. Like, I do want to reread the books, and I did after we recorded the first set. I did buy Midnight Sun and read that.
You did?
I did. 800 plus pages.
Great. And you said it was good. I think
it was good. Yeah. the too long didn't read version of it is Edward has a lot of thoughts, and was planning to dump Bella when she was in the hospital.
Well,
and basically was like, how can I dump her
mm-hmm.
without it like ruining stuff? It was really, it was odd, but then there was a lot more backstory to some of like the vampire characters that you didn't get in the first, especially Carlisle and what's his Emmett. There was a little more on there sort of, and Alice a little bit, because in the first book, and they don't talk about it in the movie, but Alice doesn't know how she was made, who bit her, and all that stuff. Well, you come to find out in the book she was in an insane asylum, got bit while she was there, broke out, and then found Jasper, because she has no human memories at all. She's the only vampire that has no human memories. So there was a little bit more on that. So yeah, but we're gonna talk about Eclipse. We're gonna see how this goes. I'm gonna read the Wikipedia. I'm gonna skim read the Wikipedia, because this is a 5-paragraph plot on Wikipedia.
That seems like too much.
So hopefully, if you've watched this, you'll know. If you haven't, well, sorry. Here you go. So in Seattle, Washington, the vampire Victoria, aka the redhead from the first 2 movies, attacks a human victim, Riley, so she can begin to create an army of newborns, humans newly transformed into vampires, to get her revenge on an enemy vampire, Edward Cullen, who killed her past lover. Which she's really after Bella, but it's fine.
Right.
In Forks, Edward and his human girlfriend Bella Swan discuss the complications of becoming an immortal vampire. At 18 years old, 1 year older than Edward when he transformed, but Bella expresses her aversion to the idea of marrying so young. Edward refuses to turn her into a vampire, which she desires until they are married, his argument being that she should have various human experiences she would otherwise miss. Adding to the turmoil, Bella's childhood friend, werewolf named Jacob Black, confesses he is in love with her and forcefully kisses her. Furious, she punches him and sprains her hand, but forgives him later when he apologizes. We will
discuss that. Yes, don't you worry. Don't you worry.
I'm gonna kind of skip this part, but it's worth mentioning. Rosalie tells Bella that she envies her, and choosing to be transformed into a vampire is the wrong choice. Rosalie basically gives her backstory. This is very graphic, this description, which is not like that in the movies. Essentially, Rosalie was attacked before, like on her last night of her life, she was attacked and killed.
I think she was raped.
Yeah, that's what this says.
Raped.
It says she was raped in the streets on her last night as a human. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Edward's adoptive sister, Alice Cullen, experiences visions of the future and foresees the newborn vampire army attacking Forks, led by Riley. As a result, the Cullen family forges an uneasy alliance with the werewolf tribe, and they all decide to strategize and train in defense. During training, Jasper, Alice's partner, explains to Bella that he was once part of a newborn army and hated himself, but experienced self-worth once he fell in love with Alice. Bella sees the true bond between a maid and vampire pair and realizes that spending eternity with Edward is important to her, so she agrees to marry him. Edward and Bella camp in the mountains to hide her from the bloodthirsty newborns. Jacob overhears them discussing their engagement and takes off. We will discuss his little...
There's a lot.
Bella chases him and desperately asks him to kiss her, realizing she has fallen in love with him too. We will discuss. Edward is not upset. We will discuss. As Bella tells him... her love for Jacob is not as strong as her love for him. Victoria shows up with Riley. That is hilarious. We will discuss, because that is really kind of funny. And then the Volturi, who know all along this is all happening, they come after the whole fight happens. Spoiler, everybody's fine. No one dies. Victoria dies. So sorry. But the Volturi note that Bella is still human. She explains the date has been set for her transformation. And Jacob gets pretty badly injured in the fight at the end, and she visits him and says, "I'm choosing Edward," and that we'll discuss that scene. And then they go into their Bella and Edward go into their little meadow where everything happens inexplicably. We'll discuss.
It's too much for me.
She basically tells him, "We're gonna let's get married."
Yeah.
And they say they're gonna go see Charlie and tell him, and then the movie cuts. That's pretty much.
Yeah. Where do we start? Do we just
I'm just going to go from the beginning.
Let's go from the beginning.
Because I have the notes that I did last time.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I will tell you the opening of this movie where he gets getting bit, like it's Riley coming out of some bar or whatever.
Right.
That was a pretty good, like I wrote cinematic masterpiece at the time. Scared the shit out of me when I saw it in the theater.
Well, and I think if you've never seen the book, you're like, well, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah, I guess if you're a fan and you didn't read the books, Bella's wig. Then they cut to them in the meadow. Bella. See, and I told you, I said the wig gets worse for one person. The rest of them are fine.
My note was, we've moved on from bad wigs to weird hair journeys.
Yeah,
but still some wig problems.
And it's
so
funny because there's certain scenes of this movie where her wig is actually really good and looks natural. So at the time, Kristen Stewart she had to have a wig because she was filming the Joan Jett something or other. Yeah. So she cut her hair and dyed it black. So this movie she has to wear wigs. And it is a journey.
It's a journey. But even like the high school friends, they were having hair journeys. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I get it. This was 2010. So I
Yes.
guess for the time it was right, but
yeah.
I don't know that it was.
Yeah.
I don't know that it was.
I don't know that one is
I think
either.
I don't get both of their hesitations in the beginning when they're fighting about this whole like she wants to be a vampire but he doesn't want to change her, and he wants to get married but she doesn't. Like, what are we? First off, Bella, you're a flop. You're a flop human. I made that note several times throughout this, of that she does not act like she's a flop human. She thinks that she's already been changed.
Well, and I wrote down, I said, Edward is like begging her like to marry him, which I'm like, ew. And I'm like, okay, good for her for saying, you know what, I want you to change. Like, if I'll marry you, but change me. I would also say the same thing. You will be at your most beautiful if you get changed. I would be like, fucking change me before we get married.
That's like,
why would you not do, like, why would you not
Yeah.
want, but he's being this way. And then she
Yeah.
says marriage is a piece of paper. And he's always like, well, I'm from this era and blah, blah, blah. This
Which
pressure
again,
is
right.
lame.
He's not 18.
Lame-o.
Right. This is where
Right.
I'm like,
He's like, I'm
not,
18
right,
or I'm
like,
17 or whatever.
Exactly.
And then and she says, from where I come from, my age, just the way someone says get knocked up. Now, okay, tell me, we must discuss. If you had a friend who got married at 18, I don't know if you actually did have a friend who got married at 18.
I don't think so.
What would you think?
It's too early.
Same.
It's too early.
I'm with her. I'm like, I would not
Right.
actively encourage it.
You know, that's an interesting thought. I never thought about that because they are supposed to be 18 in this. So like him pressuring her to like be married, I guess that makes sense because
Yeah.
you're essentially saying the same thing. Like she's saying, I want to be with you the rest of my life,
Right.
immortal.
Right.
And he's saying, I want to be with you the rest of my life, married.
Yeah.
So we're arguing about the same thing.
Right.
So why don't we just fucking do it?
Right.
I just don't get it. I mean,
Yeah. And I think
he's all like, I want you to live.
Yeah. And
But then this is later. He's like, I want you to have human experiences. So when she's like,
Let's-
okay, Boner City,
Yeah,
he's like,
let's
no,
go.
no.
Oh, we'll discuss. I have
Edward
notes.
he is ground zero for red flags in this movie.
Yeah,
in
this is
my
a little bit of a
opinion.
rough. I actually Jacob is also
Well,
ground zero.
yes,
They're both
they're
like
both
really
red flag
really
central
bad.
because like in the beginning she's gonna go visit Jacob and he
Right.
sabotages her car and is like, you're not going.
Yes.
I was like, oh.
Well, and
Oh,
and I hated Charlie being like, Jacob's going through a tough time. Okay.
Yeah,
And was like, you need to hang out with
Charlie-
him, and I was like, oh, like I
Charlie
hate
is
this
team
too.
Jacob,
Yeah, obviously.
but Jacob is team werewolf, so can't really, he's
Right.
shifting.
Right. I do want to.
as the kids do.
Right. I do want to note the overhead of her wig shot. That was very clearly a wig in that
I-
shot. I don't know why they decided
How'd that get
to
past a committee? I'm telling you.
Well, and then bam, and then I wrote, then bam, Edward. He's being a little bitch
Well-
because he like jumps on her
Yep.
car and then I
And
think in the
he's-
book he like, what
mhm.
did he do? He like disconnected a bunch of wires so it wouldn't
Probably.
start or
Mhm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then they must go to school because the next thing I wrote is Jasper is such a fucking creeper.
Yeah, they go to the school, and then so that's when Alice has her "That's So Raven" moment, right? She has all the literally the whole. She's just like,
look it up.
like,
Just Google "That's So Raven" and
that's
you will know what we're
that's
talking
essentially what Alice is doing. And then after that, she just goes, "I'm throwing a party. I'm throwing a graduation party."
about. Would you? So if you were in this high school and the Cullens were as elusive as everything, would you go to that party?
Fuck yeah!
Hell yeah, I
Are
would
you
go
kidding
too. I'd
me?
be like,
and I would go into each of their bedrooms. I would go through their stuff.
Same. That's what I was like. I would
Are you
100%
kidding me?
snoop around their fucking house.
Alice would be like, "Do you need anything?" I'd be like, "Yes, I need grapes specifically from Italy."
I'd be
And
like-
then I'd be like, "Okay, going in your room now."
I'd be like, "Where's your shitter?" And then I'd be I'd be going
Well,
through all their shit.
I made a note. I don't remember who said it, but someone said, "Does everyone notice how strange Alice is?" And I said, yeah, everyone knows how strange all of you are."
Well, and I just think about, I sent you this meme, and maybe we should pull it and post it on our stories. But it's this woman. She's there was this meme of, there's the one that I've sent you where it's like her as all the vampires, and like her as Jasper is so on point. Her eyes are just bugged out the whole time.
Oh.
But then it was the meme of like, how the fuck did these kids not know that this guy was like, he looks so creepy.
I know, they look terrible.
Anyways, I do like Jasper, but him at school was not.
And it's the hair journey. It's the hair journey.
I think that's his real hair.
I think it is.
I think that's his real,
yeah.
and that they died, and it looks sad.
And it
but it's fine.
died.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it died.
And it died.
So then, I
Mhm.
guess, so there's some like, Alice's "That's So Raven" moment leads her to think that something's going on with Victoria. So then Edward's like, "Oh, guess what? You forgot about the tickets my parents gave you to Jacksonville. We should go." And so she's like, "Oh, okay, like whatever." Shouldn't think anything of it.
She's
I'd be
a
like,
dumb
"Bitch,"
bitch.
I'd be
I
like,
know.
I
She's
was
so
like, "What would you
stupid.
do?" And so then they decide to go to Jacksonville, which I was a bigger deal. The movie really glazed the fuck over this. The book, I remember it being so much more in depth. So they go to Jacksonville to see her mom and stepfather, and he's just inside being a little creep
Because he can't be in the sun.
right.
Because he glitters.
In the book, he says he has to write a term. He's working on a term paper all week, and they make no excuse for him in the movie, which I thought
he
was
just
a little
sits
weird.
there, right? She's having her "Where the Crawdads Sing" moment, right? Like staring at the ocean, and
Their
then
mom's like, "Oh, college is in Florida."
I know, poor
Jacksonville's
mom
great.
who's not an adult.
Well, Florida is. I'm so sorry. It's not it.
It's not
It's
it.
not it.
It's not it. It's
God's
never
waiting
been
room.
it. It's never gonna be it.
God's waiting room.
But I did have to. At first, I was like, "What?" Like, mom is a flop. But then, like, they have this little moment. I'm like, okay, I do remember in the book, like, they did have a little more special of a relationship than is
Yeah, they had more.
present in the movie.
And there was more, and they have part of the conversation in the movie of the mom Renee being like, well, it's like a magnet, like you move, he moves, like it's. But there was a much longer conversation in the book with the mom where she was like, I want you to be careful, and like it just seems like really like intense,
Right.
And, like,
in the movie, it seems like mom is
she's like, hee-hee,
she's a
like,
partier and
yeah.
like clearly makes unstable relationships herself.
Yes.
So she's like, Edward's great, and it's like. They're a little
weird.
Toxic, actually.
It's a little weird.
Well, while they're having their little meeting,
right?
The Cullens are being little sneaky snakes
in the forest, hanging out,
meeting with infamous nepo baby Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh, good, you wrote that. Yeah, I said new face alert. Bryce Dallas Howard replaces I don't know how to say her last name, Rachel Lefebvre as Victoria, because the original Victoria had scheduling conflicts that they would not move.
Crazy.
Isn't that crazy? That's wild.
I wonder if she's pissed.
I would
what was she in? What was the other thing? Do you know?
She was in the first two.
Right.
But she was doing a play.
Oh.
And they would not move the movie scheduling. And I think it's because probably she wasn't like in this she's sort of a main character, but she's not main enough for them to be like, oh, we're going to push filming back, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think Bryce Dallas Howard, great choice. Love her. She's great.
I wish
the wig.
The wig is not. I wish they would have, because in the first two movies it looked more natural. It was more like an orange red, and in this it was like red, like Tina Burner red, like. For those Drag Race fans, it was like
Tina Burner.
Tina Burner. Like I could not.
It was red and curled.
Curly, like curl. Like fake. Not as well.
Like shag carpet.
And I just have a question. So like, and this is for me and you to discuss. This is like an opinion question because they all change their hair at some point as vampires, right? Like Alice cuts her hair a little bit. Like, does it grow back? You're dead.
Know.
Like,
I don't know.
Are they wearing wigs? Because like her,
there you go.
Because Victoria's hair was much more. It was curly, but it was more wavy, and like, but Alice like cuts her hair a little bit. Like, it's shorter in this movie than it was in the other movies. It was more pixie,
That's
Josie,
a good
and
question,
the Pussycats.
because they're dead. So does your hair grow?
No,
that's a great question.
Because I'm like, I'm surely they have wigs. Probably they probably buy wigs.
Maybe that's why their wigs look like wigs, because they are. That's an interesting.
So that's why I'm like
Stephanie,
call us.
Call us. Let us know.
Anyways.
Well, I think Victoria's a badass. I love her. I'm just gonna say it.
I think she gets her cookies in this movie. Whatever the phrase is.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, but that does fit. She does get her cookies.
What do you say? It's like you get your flowers. She gets like her flowers in this movie. I like cookies better.
Are you making this up?
No. Are you having a stroke?
Are you okay? How many of those fizzies have you had today?
This is the first one.
I don't know. I just think she's a badass. Like, she's running through that forest.
Oh my god.
She's evading the vampires, the werewolves.
Well, and I do want to say something that I learned in Midnight Sun that they don't talk about in any of the books, but now makes sense. So so they're running through the forest. She's sort of towing the line between the Cullen land and the werewolf land.
She's messy.
And she's like running. She runs to the ocean, then she like ceremoniously like jumps off. And she does this in New Moon as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So in Midnight Sun, when they track her, they're tracking her and James. Edward talks about how when you go in water as a vampire, your scent disappears. So like, and obviously you can swim, you don't have to breathe. So you can swim like across the ocean and you'll be fine.
Right.
And I was like, that makes sense because now they can't track her,
right.
which they don't really explain.
Which is why they have a hard time.
Yeah.
tracking
I mean, I guess
her.
it's implied, but they never spelled it out anyways. So yeah. And, and then when they get back, Edward and Bella go to school, and Edward's like, if I asked you to sit in the car, would you? I hate that.
Right.
But Jacob shows up and he's acting like a
Right,
little
because Jacob's
emo.
there, right. Although he was a little hotter, I will have to say.
He did get more ripped
Well,
for this movie.
more ripped,
They were like,
yeah.
guess what? You're going to
But
do
still-
more intensive workouts.
Yeah. You know, he's there checking on Bella, seeing if she's a flop human. Spoiler
Right.
alert, she is.
She is.
She is.
And then Jacob spoils it and says,
Spoilers.
oh my God, the redhead was here. And then Bella
Mhm.
just
Mm-hmm.
loses her marbles. And then Edward continues to lie to her, to her face. I'm like, what
So
is
then
wrong?
she says, "Well, I'm gonna go hang out with the werewolves," and just hops on little Jacob's bike and zoom.
There's so many problems. Anyways.
It's so problematic.
But yeah, I thought it was weird. She gets on his motorcycle and like he has been ghosting her for weeks. I'm like, why would you just I would be like, bitch,
don't
let's
you
talk
have
about
school?
Right. Well, she ditches.
Girl.
I guess we don't give a shit. We're a senior. We don't
Right.
care.
I'm
Senior
about to be a
ditch day.
vampire. What are you gonna do? I'm about to be in school for the rest of my life. What do you want?
And then they go to the little werewolf, and then she sees all of her old werewolf pals again.
And we have a new female werewolf because it's
Yes.
2010.
Right.
So
It's for the girls.
it's for the girls.
And then
But of course she's testy.
Right.
You know, she's got a personality.
she's got a personality. You learn that she was dating the pack Sam,
But
then he imprinted on Emily.
yeah. So
And then
it's
you get
messy.
right, and then
Love
you get
it.
your first real sort of explanation of imprinting in this movie.
I call it foreshadowing of darker moments to come. That's what I called that. That's what that was the experience.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, and it's such a what did you think? Because it was so the line of like, and I remember it even before I watched it again, but it's like the line of like, you'll do anything for her, be anything for her, and then later like one of the like Quill imprints on like a 3-year-old,
Right.
and he's like her brother, and like he's
Yes.
trying, and that was in the book, and they explain it like, well, he's like her brother right
Like,
now,
it's
like
not
he's
sexual.
taking, yeah,
Right,
it's not,
right, right.
but it's
I don't know.
so
It's
weird.
alpha. It gives alpha.
It gives the F
It
word.
It gives the F word. Well, and so in that moment too, though, so she tells him,
Yes.
"I'm gonna be turned."
Yes. Oh.
And he
Yes.
throws
Yes,
a
I read
wrench
this
at
one.
her face.
Yeah.
He literally throws a wrench at her. I mean, not
Why
really,
did she
but
not like?
basically.
I would have ripped his ass. I would have been
Are you
like, "What
kidding
the
me?
fuck is wrong?" I would have ripped his
Are
ass.
you kidding me? Yeah, I was like,
I said him
yeah.
throwing shit at me, red flag. Bye.
I mean, right at me. I mean, it literally was like he threw it like you're in front of me, and I just like throw it to
Right.
your left just
Well,
a smidge.
and it
Like,
was so funny because in moments
I was like,
before,
no.
he remember he was like trying to stare at her weird, like he was trying to imprint on her. He was like turning his head and like, and I was like, I felt like I was a voyeur. Like I felt so weird because
it's
he was,
disgusting.
and you could tell that's what he was trying to do. And yeah, and then she's like, well, I'm gonna be changed, and he's just like, blah, and he freaks out anyway. And then they immediately cut. There's like I will
Right.
say this movie was very cinematically correct. It was very much like, we're
Right.
not fucking with you anymore.
Right.
We're going into evil shit.
Right,
So it
right.
cuts, and it's the guy from the beginning of the movie. His name is Riley.
Riley.
You don't really learn about it until a little bit, but he is in Bella's room. He's
Yep.
just like looking at her bed.
Did a B&E.
Yep, did a B&E touching her little dream catcher. That sounded rad.
For those of you who can't see, she's making a little like tickling of the balls.
Yeah, but that's what he did. He
motion.
like grabbed the bottom. It was the
It
way
was
he
like a
grabbed
dream
it.
catcher.
But he grabbed it so oddly.
He did.
It was weird.
You're right. He kind of like fingered
And
it
he
strangely.
he's being a weirdo,
Yeah,
and Charlie's
yeah.
sleeping, and then you see him creeping,
Right in
and
his
and he
face,
goes
right in his
the
face.
fuck. How did
I know.
how
I
did
don't
they
know. I
film
was
that?
like-
I would have been laughing my
I would have been
dick
like,
off.
get the
I'd have been
fuck
like-
out of my face.
goes right up to Charlie, and I think in the book they explain that like Victoria is like, don't do anything, don't harm him, don't like, because it doesn't make sense otherwise. But then
Right.
the
Well-
music though, oh my
Oh,
god, the
good.
music
The good-
was
yes,
crazy.
yes.
Oh
We
my
had
god,
good music.
I wanted to
Mhm.
yeah, like the soundtrack and the actual like movie score was like
Right.
But then-
it's not till this point that they have no idea
yeah,
what's
they
going
don't know
on.
what's going on.
They're like, and
they're
I'm-
yeah.
And I'm like, really? They're like, oh, it must be the
I can't believe they
Volturi.
didn't put it together much faster.
I'm like, who have we been dealing with for 2 books? What are
Right.
you talking about?
I cannot believe they didn't put it together much faster. But then, yeah, so Riley, and before he leaves the house, he steals one of Bella's shirts, which
Right.
again was a bigger deal in the books because she
Right.
was like, my shirt's missing. And they're all like, oh, yeah, whatever. You just misplaced it, you stupid
Right.
bitch. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like,
You won't need clothes when you're a vampire,
right,
bitch. Don't
right.
worry about it.
And then, yeah,
Right,
so,
right.
but yeah, so then Edward comes at the door. She's in there and he loses his
it. Something's
fucking mind.
wrong.
And he like runs upstairs and he's like,
Someone's been here.
someone's been in here.
Yeah.
And then they have this little family meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh my god, what? We don't know what's whoa,
Right, we
is it
gotta save
Victoria?
Bella. We
Is
gotta
it the
save
Volturi?
Bella.
Blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just
And guess who's not on board?
Rosalie.
Rosalie's not on board. But I did say she did get a wig update. Let's talk about that.
yeah, she looks better in this.
Looks
movie.
better. It's still a journey. But
Oh yeah,
she
for
did
sure.
She did get that.
Then you get her little her backstory, which is
Yeah.
Not great.
Not great.
But I can't blame her because I would do the 100% same thing if I was her.
Yeah, she got all her little revenge.
Yeah, and then at her fiance, she wore her wedding dress and killed him. And I was like,
I love it.
I said,
support
that's
it.
me. Yeah, I don't hate it.
So the big tension is between Edward and Jacob.
Yes.
Who continue what I say, slapping their dicks on the table.
I just wrote little penis energy happening
between
Edward and Jacob.
Thank you. Like, get your little micro penises off the table.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done. Because everyone's coming together to guard Bella, and I just feel it's very True Blood. It's very. Did you watch?
I did not watch True Blood.
It's kind of the same where like everyone's obsessed with Sookie is her name.
Yes, yeah.
And like the vampires are, and then later there's I don't remember if there's werewolves, but they were like fairies, and like everyone's obsessed with Sookie, and like why? Why?
This movie made me feel like I liked Book Bella better, and movie and not a knock on Kristen Stewart, but it's just I don't know like
maybe
why they didn't do a good job of explaining why she's such a hot commodity to everybody.
Right.
In my opinion, like the book was a little bit
blood
more.
Smells good. Okay, fine.
But yeah, I was a little piece of injury, and then like Edward's like letting her go hang out with Jacob, and so then they kiss, which the kiss was weird. I hated it. I put that's a no for me, dog.
Oh, yeah.
Like they have this weird like and then she goes to the reservation, and then you see little Seth Clearwater, who is the younger brother of the female.
Boo-boo. Was Boo-boo is that his name?
Yeah, Bobo Stewart or
Bobo
Boo-boo.
Stewart. Boo-boo
He's
Stewart.
so cute.
He's so cute.
I wrote he's so cute.
But he takes her there because he doesn't want her to become a flop vampire.
Yeah.
So, which I was kind of like.
And Jacob's trying to like, I think what he's trying to do in all of this is to try to like convince her that being like human is better and or being with him is more fun.
I think it's that one.
And they go and it's this like they're gonna tell this like tribe story around this fire, and Bella's like, I wish you would have said something to me, like why?
Yeah, she did at least have the little like wherewithal to be like, I don't know if I should be here as the white person. And
I felt
this is the first.
I felt like she was me. I would have been like, why
did you bring me here?
Well, I wish you would have told me. I would have worn something nicer.
Right. I would have worn a tribal print.
Right. Right. Oh my God. I should show you the shirt that I wore on our first date. Call back. You can tell me if you think it's red and blue.
Oh my.
Anyways.
Oh my.
So yeah, but
That's
so they do this. They talk. The fire story, which essentially, a long story short, is that there was way back when the tribe had just one guy who could phase into being a werewolf. This vampire attacked the tribe, and the third wife, which I thought was a weird distinction that they kept calling her the third wife.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He was losing the battle against the vampire. She was like killing everybody. So the third wife decided to cut her like arm so that it would frenzy, which it did.
Right,
and then he won,
but
and
then
that
was
was
the
fine.
war between vampires.
Right, and that was sort of that whole, which again, so sorry everyone. The book was way better.
Yeah.
The story was way better in the book.
Yeah.
The movie. I mean, I know that they're trying to shorten it for time, but anyways.
Right.
And so then they do that, and then they cut to the vampire army being formed, which too much work. No, I mean, I was like, Jesus Christ. I mean, really, it's just they're just like and the whole thing up until this point,
strong babies.
From the Cullens' perspective, is like people are dying in Seattle. They don't know why. They know it's vampires. They just don't know what kind or what's going on. But they're like just killing. They're just like killing. They were like feeding on like 4 like alive people.
Right.
And Riley is in charge of them, and he's like yelling at them, and he's like, what the fuck? And too much work. Anyways. And then I don't know. My notes aren't really good at this part.
Well, then this is where after that we go.
I just wrote, "You'll always be my Bella."
Yeah, we go to Jacob telling Bella that he loves her, and it's very Meredith Grey, like love me, choose me. Like it was very much that. It was drama.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
And it was crazy. He said, "I'm going to fight for you until your heart stops beating."
Well, and she also invites him to the graduation party, which I thought was very weird and.
But then she doesn't.
Stupid.
So she uninvited him after this. And but I'm like, you know what? You threw a wrench at her. So you're no good either. Like, what are you talking about? And then, yes, the kiss. He kisses her.
I'm in love with you now. Why you choose me instead of him? And then he kisses her. But doesn't there's no, he just does it. And I just wrote, I hate in all caps, Jacob in this scene. Hate.
Yeah, it's grody.
This is where I turn to, we don't like Jacob Black.
Right.
So sorry.
So she punches him, which doesn't go over well, as you can imagine.
Yeah. And she texts him, which I said, which I agree with, but then breaks her hand.
Right. So he takes her back and then, to the Cullens. So she's hurt.
Yes.
And so then we're back to micro penises on the table.
Yes.
The boys fighting.
Yes.
And I thought it was cute in the scene. Charlie comes out and tries to separate them. Like he could really do anything.
I know, and they were
it.
so nice, and they were just letting Charlie think he could do anything. But yeah,
mhm.
that was so funny to me. Watch fucking Robert Pattinson just like like he was losing his fucking mind. I was laughing so hard.
Right.
He was like
Right.
shit. I mean, and I
Right.
get it, but like it was just
It was dumb.
Anyways.
So let's see. So Rosalie still not on the Bella train.
She hates. Well, she doesn't hate Bella, and
It's her backstory.
Well,
you know,
yeah, and
because she didn't get the choice to be.
And we'll talk about her in the next one because I don't like Rosalie in the last one for a lot of reasons, because it seems really disingenuous after basically for 3 books she's like, I fucking hate you, and I hate the choice you're making, and I think she's really creepy in Breaking Dawn, but that's fine. But yeah, and then they cut back to the vampire army, and I think it's so hilarious because what did he say? He's like, something's bigger is coming than any of you guys realize, and then he takes like a car door and like Hulk smashes it on the ground.
Okay,
I was like, okay, sure,
yeah.
But the Volturi see,
right? They're watching,
so you see, and they're sort of like, and it's Dakota Fanning. It's like, it's not all of them. It's just Dakota Fanning, the brother, and like Felix, the bulky guy,
Darius or something like that.
And they're like, what should we do? Should we kill them? Do we care? Well, maybe they're trying to take out the Cullens.
Know that Aro's thoughts are being watched, so like they've been left to deal with this because they know, like they're smart enough to know. And that's the same with Victoria. Victoria knows her thoughts are being watched by Alice, so that's why she has Riley doing all the dirty work.
Yes. So and then they kind of are like, well, let's see what they do, because they hate the Cullens. They also kind of want the Volturi Cullens not to be alive, and they kind of assume that this is because of the Cullens. So they're like, we'll see what happens. We'll just roll the dice. It's a Russian roulette over here. And so then they go and they cut to graduation, the high school graduation. I did not write a ton of notes for this because
it was so.
I mean, it wasn't terrible.
Jacob shows up, which Bella, is not
and then
Team
after
Jacob. But he gives her a homemade wolf keychain, which I said kind of gay.
It was a bracelet.
Bracelet. You're right, bracelet. I said it was gay. Alice has another
gay.
That's So Raven moment and sees the baby vampires that are gonna now hunt Bella with her shirt.
Yeah, so they're holding her shirt, and then in the book, that's how they realize up until that point.
Right. So then the Cullens get together with werewolves, and the werewolves are like, you know what? If they're gonna come here, like if they're gonna fuck around, they're gonna find out.
Right.
So we want to fight with you. And Bella goes, no. And I'm like, shut up, bitch. You literally have no powers and are a flop human. Like, who are you to tell these vampires and werewolves that they can't fight?
I don't know. Yeah, she has a lot of nerve.
She does.
In this movie.
Her ovaries have dropped to testicles because she certainly has them to tell him, you guys aren't going to fight.
I can't believe
What are you going to do?
Right. Well, we find out what she does
we do find
which is fine.
Which is fine.
But let's take a break.
Let's take a break. Yeah.
And then we'll come back and we'll do the fight training scene in the meadow,
and the ward. Yeah. We'll be right back.
Sorry.
And we're back.
And we're in the meadow. And
we're
it's
in
the fight scene. Well, it's training time. So it's yes.
Fighting newborns is different. They're strong because they're a little bit human.
Yes, and Jasper is an expert, which you learn in a little bit that he was part of one. But it's I didn't hate the scene. I thought it was pretty good.
They're all trying they're all
soundtrack,
fighting.
The music great.
I know
and I love Jasper's line, "Never go in for the obvious kill," which is great life advice.
And Alice and Jasper fighting, kind of cute, right?
I put that was hot.
Oh well, I thought it was cute.
It was cute. It was really cute. The two of them. That was probably the best pairing. That and Edward and Carlisle was a good fighting.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we learned more about Jasper and you said, being in the army. He helped make a baby army for somebody else.
Well, we need to discuss one point.
Yes.
Do we think he's racist because he was a Confederate soldier?
Well,
think about it.
Well,
he's from Texas. He's from Galveston, Texas, I believe.
Sure.
And he was the youngest general in the Confederate Army,
Something
I think.
Like that.
And he gets turned by these 3 beautiful vampires, and he basically ran the whole thing, which I really hate that they don't really talk about his special power that he has in the movies.
Right.
Because he can control, he can control like emotions. He can control the emotions of people around him. And they kind of talk about it a little bit in the movie, but like it's not anything. But I just, he says, I've never lost a fight. And I just put, are we counting when he couldn't kill Bella in New Moon? Seems like he took the L there.
Well,
I mean, that wasn't necessarily a fight, but I mean, but I wrote, they don't talk about his powers enough. Also, I do want to note that I hate Bella's wig in this scene, and that she pets Jake because he's in werewolf form. I hated it.
Right. What are we doing?
Hate.
Now, she is the one that figures out Victoria's behind all the bait, which I was like, wow.
Yes.
Way to come through.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. But again, she did way better.
She forgets she's a flop human because she's like, I'm going to be at the fight.
Right. Well, and then she kind of forces Edward to like choose between, like, she's like, you either stay with me or you fight, and it's not so dangerous. I can be in the meadow. Which I'm like, bitch, are you stupid? They're coming for you. Why would you want to be there?
Well, and this is what I said, and I know you'll agree with this. I said, girl, I'd be like, bye, I'm going back to Florida.
Yeah, why would you not fly?
I'd go to the sun. I know Florida's not great.
Yeah, why didn't her and Edward fly to Florida and let this all play out? I mean, truly. I mean, yeah, I guess like Victoria could have tracked them to Florida, but like. I don't know. Anyways,
yeah.
Well, and then I hate Jacob because him carrying Bella around this forest. So he has to carry Bella so it masks her scent.
Right, because werewolves are stinky.
Yeah, and she smells, apparently, according to everybody. Right. And I would have kicked him square in the testicles if he talked to me the way he talked to her. He was like, what did he say to her? He was like... Oh my God. I can't remember because I was so angry. I was like, I can't even watch this because he's like, he's like, you know, you love me. You know, you're in love with me. You know, you want me.
He was basically being like,
I hear your heartbeat faster when I touch you. And I'm like,
that's exactly what it was. And then you learn too that he gave up being an alpha. Like he could have been the alpha, and I put because he washes his asshole. That's what I put because alphas don't wash their asshole.
And he's acting like a real
he's an idiot.
Alpha male in this fucking thing. Oh my God. So then after they do the whole thing and they all run around, they go back to Charlie and Bella talking. Which just weren't the kitchen cabinets yellow in the other movies? They're green in this movie. I know things can get like redone, but that was really distracting to me when they were in the kitchen. Okay. It was very distracting to me. But then they have a weird little
like birds and the bees talk.
Yeah, I was like,
no.
I put gross. I was like, I don't like that. And then Bella's like, guess what? I'm a virgin. Ha ha ha. And runs out of the room and I'm like,
you foul bitch.
I don't like it. But then you find out that Alice arranges like a sleepover, tells Charlie that they're going to have a sleepover at her house because everybody else is going camping for the weekend.
Right.
But really what's happening is Edward and Bella are going to have the Cullen house to themselves because the rest of them are going to hunt before they have this big fight.
Yes.
And our girl has thoughts
about
this night.
First off, he gives her that big diamond bracelet.
Oh yeah, he gives her like a little diamond heart
because he felt insecure about Jacob's little gift, and I was like, "Wow, that's asshole move." Like,
it was really.
It was.
Sorry, I was trying to.
It was this gigantic diamond.
It was this diamond little heart thing, which in the book it was much more. This looked like a cheapy little thing you would have bought off, some like cart in New York. Like in the book, I'm 100% sure it was like a Tiffany's diamond.
Probably
something. Anyways,
but so now, she's ready to go to Boner City.
Yeah. And they have
rejected.
Well, and it's so
rejected.
Well, and it's so funny because he bought a bed. Which
he said, "Stop trying to take your clothes off." I loved it.
I wrote,
That's what you get, bitch.
Bella has thoughts for this is why I wrote. Bella has thoughts for this night alone with Edward, but the addition of the bed in Edward's face was very misleading for her.
That is true.
He was a tease.
She was like, "There's a bed here," because they don't sleep.
They don't have, and he
bought this gigantic ass bed,
which she could have. He had like a long chair. She could have slept on that.
Right.
They have a couch.
Fucking ground. Girl, you slept on the ground when Jacob broke up with, or when Edward broke up with you, so you can do it again.
I have to say, I'm just going to say this, and I'm sure I'm going to get read to filth.
Oh, please.
But his little thing about, I'm from a different era. I would have courted you. I would have had lemonade on it. And I said, apparently he's from the era of the Duggars. What the fuck? I mean, I know he's from 19 whatever, but Jesus fucking Christ, you're in the 21st century, you old bitch. Like,
exactly.
Why?
That's what I said. I said, well, we see the Mormon undertones because he's talking about waiting for marriage. But like, girl,
we would have had tea on the porch.
She's over here. He's literally about to fight for his life tomorrow for you.
Well, he's
a
not. Well,
flop
he doesn't know.
human.
He doesn't know he's fighting for
But
his life. But
essentially,
yes,
right? But I'm like, you're over here going, boo hoo, you didn't dick me down tonight. Like, girl, all these people.
Could you imagine if like
I
let's
would
just,
smack her.
let's take
I
a-
would throw a wrench at her. Are
let's
you
take a
kidding
hard
me?
left turn. Let's pretend for a second that they did bone and she did spoilies get pregnant at this night. That would have been crazy.
That would have been crazy.
Crazy,
Crazy.
wild. Anyways,
Well, so then he does end up proposing to her.
yes. Okay.
And I'm sorry, that ring, ugly. So sorry. So sorry.
No,
ugly.
no. I don't hate
So
it because
sorry.
I said I want to hear.
Ugly.
I want to hear from the girlies / the people who got an engagement ring like this because do you remember at the time they
Gigantic.
were making
No.
and it's so
No.
funny because if you look at the actual rings from the era that he was living in, the rings in real life that were made are much prettier than what that
Yeah.
little bitch shit
It looked
that he
like
gave
something
her.
you would get at Chuck E. Cheese.
Well, and it was like,
Like-
the book with the description of the book was not what they gave in the movie. I remember the book. I was like, oh my god, this ring is probably beautiful. That thing
Not beautiful.
looked like some shit that I could have bought at Claire's when I
Yeah,
was
yes,
12. Actually, I have a
yes,
ring that looks similar
yes,
to that ring in my
Yes.
jewelry
It
box.
was like 18 inches long
oh my
and
god.
had little stones on it. It just was not. And so she
Anyways.
says yes, of course, and he looked relieved, like, oh God, I
And we
didn't
have
think
Sia
you would say yes.
playing in the background. Great choice. I'm
Love
not
Sia.
again. Don't hate.
So sorry she has
But then they cut to our other iconic couple, Victoria and Riley.
Which Victoria really out here playing that long game. And
I
God
said,
bless.
what a
Good for
pair. I
her.
said I also love her. I love her straight line to Riley about Laurent.
Right.
Because she was like, oh my god, they killed him because he figured out and I'm like, bitch, you're just lying.
Right.
But it's fine.
Right. Sly.
And I just want to know, do you think that they had a little fling, her and Laurent, at one point? Because it kind of felt like that.
Who?
Victoria. 100%.
Oh, and Laurent. Oh, I'm sure.
A little
Oh,
bit.
I'm sure. I would. Yeah.
She was like, they killed him.
I don't know though, because are vampires kind of like werewolves? Like, don't they mate for life? So I don't know.
They made for
do
life, but they also probably have cash, I would assume.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Who knows?
Maybe.
The way she was talking about it made me, I was like, ooh, this seems a little more
Would put
like.
it past her. She sees something, she gets it.
So she tells Riley, "Oh my God, I love you. It's only been you." And of course, we all know she's a lying,
Right,
fucking
she's a lying
slut.
bitch. Right.
Not a slut. I'm not
Desperate
really slut shaming her,
slag.
but desperate slag. She's and then they make out and they have
And
their
she's-
little thing.
Yeah, and she's nonplussed about it.
Well, and then so Bella hides her ring the next day. So this is the day of the whole thing.
And Edward says, you don't want Jacob to see it. And I said, bitch, Jacob can see it from 5 miles away because it's
Oh my
14
God.
inches
You couldn't miss it.
long.
It's more diamondy and sparkly than him in the sun.
And then, did you see in that? So Edward goes to leave because he's going to go like stake out wherever they're going to go. And he goes like kiss her forehead, but he's like making out with her hat because she's wearing like a hat.
Yes,
And I was like, I had to
know.
rewind it and
Well,
watch
and
that.
but it's so funny because there's also like a short clip of these creepy ass fucking vampires walking out of the water.
Right.
Like they're
Because
starting
they just walked through the water
right,
to get
right,
to Forks, I
right.
guess.
And so then they go up to the mountain and then I go, why did he not try to mask his own scent?
Because he's an idiot.
And I'm like, why would they not? And I was sitting there and I wrote this note and I was like, well, I guess they're thinking they're going to the meadow and he's thinking Victoria is going to be in the meadow thinking that, but I'm like, why would you not cover your, I don't know. Really bothered me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then they have to stay overnight at this mountain and it's at the top. So it's
Right.
cold as fuck. So
Edward's there and Jacob.
Right. So they're both there, but Jacob's not in the tent and of course he runs hot. So he doesn't need anything.
Right. But it's literally a snowstorm.
But Bella's
freezing to death.
Yeah, dying, and then they kind of all discuss that her cuddling with Jacob is gonna be, which I thought I was dying at the cuddle, like this.
And he said, well, and then he came in and he was like, face it, I'm hotter than you. And I was like, oh, well, it's true.
I hate it.
And and it's like, Edward is so mad that they're cuddling. And I'm like, bitch, you are standing right there. He's not about to like pork her in front of you.
Well, and
He's like, can you keep your thoughts to yourself?
Well, and,
Shut up,
and I thought it
bitch.
was so funny because I'm like, Jesus, that's gross. For one, he can't what are his thoughts? I would love to know what his thoughts are.
Like, you really think he's there,
Right?
like,
You think do you think he was talking thinking about boning her? I mean, like
right,
it is right there.
or
I mean,
like,
it's just weird.
like
It's
rimming
like,
her? Like,
yeah.
what's going on? Like, good lord.
Like, is there gonna be? Yeah, like I don't know. And
So it's just a bunch of them back to the dicks on the table.
Well, and then they have this weird conversation where it's like, and I dislike the convo between Edward and Jacob, hot dumpster fire, because they're basically saying, they're like almost
Yes.
treating her like
red
property.
flag central.
They're like, well, I love her more. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
I want her to be human. And then you kind of,
Right.
then they sort of have this weird like moment where they're like, okay, so you agree, like Regina George, so you agree she should be a human. Like,
Right,
it's very much like
Well,
she should be. And it's like,
and it's Jacob being Delulu because
Oh my
he's like,
God,
I know
I
she's
can't-
in love with me too, but she won't admit it. And then he says,
I
if you would have
hate-
stayed away for 6 months, I could have made her happy. Girl
boo, if you couldn't
boo.
do it in whatever 3 months of whatever it was, fail, big
But
fat fail.
you know what kills me the most is Bella is right there between the two of them.
Well, she's
and
sleeping.
Jacob is basically talking in her ear, and I'm like,
I remember reading the book was much better in the scene because Bella was like asleep, but she thought she dreamed this conversation, and the conversation was much more in depth and better. But I hated that.
it was stupid. It was so stupid.
I hated this. So then the next morning, like Bella's like, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to like talk. Like, I'm so sorry, Edward. Like that's what it is. And he's just like, it's fine, whatever. And then he does the slyest, slickest thing I think I've ever seen, and I don't hate it. I think it's hilarious. He then like talks about how they're engaged, so it's fine.
Right.
But Jacob's in earshot. He hears it and he loses his fucking marbles.
Loses his goddamn mind. Huffs right away.
And then Bella's like, don't leave. You're not thinking straight.
Yeah, her
and she
weird,
freaks
like
out.
Painful pleading, like
and
she's
then
being shocked.
And then she's like, oh my god. And in there again, I'm so sorry, everyone. The books were so much better because her internal dialogue about this was much better.
Because the next thing,
but she was like freaked out. She was like, she didn't want him to go into the battle, like freaking out. So she was like, kiss me.
Girl, get it.
And
together.
I said, the only reason she's doing this is because, and this is what I wrote. I said, it's all because Jacob is a goddamn baby and wants to upset her purposefully. We will discuss. What a fucking limp piece of noodle.
Yep.
Hated it. He did it on purpose. He was like, I'm just gonna kill myself. Like,
right. I'm gonna go in a battle and just die because you don't love me.
I've been like,
right.
Peace.
Well,
deuces.
then
Bye.
Well, I said if I were ever, I would throw her ass off that mountain and be like, bye, bitch.
Yeah.
This should have ended 2 books
Twist.
ago.
Plot
because
twist.
I'm done. And I said Bella really is a desperate slag because, of course, Edward sees them kissing.
Well, he doesn't watch it, but he can see it in his mind.
Right. And so she goes back. She's like, I don't know what happened. I love you more. And he goes, I know. I was like, girl, get the fuck out. That whole scene was a mess.
I wrote, I love you more, gross. Edward, if we have to choose between the rudder of the flags, Edward is the better choice. Jacob is
sad,
but
it's
Jacob
true.
threatened to kill himself because Bella is getting engaged.
Borderline.
So sorry.
Yes, literally.
Anyways.
Literally. So that was
so yes.
confusing.
Hate.
Anyways.
And she's just and then she's freaking out because she can't see. So Edward starts like, I guess they call it translating, which makes sense. But he starts describing, and Seth Clearwater comes up to be with them at the mountain, which I thought was interesting. But he comes up, so there's at least the 2 of them with Bella, and so then Edward starts like reading Seth's thoughts because he's connected with the pack. They all can read each other's thoughts. So he's telling her what's happening, and you see what's going on, and they're just dominating. And then the werewolves hop out, and then you see Victoria, and she's like, "Fuck, didn't realize they were gonna be werewolves.
Right,
fuck me. Like this is bad."
Yeah, and they were working really well together, I think.
Right, and they were all like it was all going fine, and then they cut to Carlisle and Esme, and they come up to this little teenage girl who
from
is
Silent Hill.
Oh, okay, never seen it.
Oh yeah, she was a little girl in Silent Hill.
And she's just sitting there, and she was in other scenes too. And she's freaking out, and they kind of look at each other, and they're like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "No, I wouldn't. I would have killed that little bitch. You know why? She was gonna kill you not 10 minutes ago.
Right.
She's just, anyways. So then you can see. So then Edward realizes, oh shit, Victoria's on her way.
Right.
And then here comes Riley, just walking like a fucking zombie out of the goddamn. I was laughing so hard. I wrote, what did I write? I said, crying at his creepy walk to them. I would have pissed my pants laughing. I've been like, are you okay?
Right. Are you okay? Do you need me to call
someone? The Last of Us? I don't know. Like, I don't understand what's happening. But yeah, so then.
And then Victoria shows up.
Well, and I wrote, this is what I wrote. I said, I would have been very petty, and I would ask Victoria how James was. I'd have been like, how's James? I'd have been like, how's James? I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Dead
Too
bitch.
soon. Dead bitch. Well, I said, so at this point, it becomes the battle of the manipulators because you got Victoria and Edward trying to manipulate poor Riley.
Well, and Edward is obviously reading his thoughts, so he's like, she doesn't love you.
And he's clearly a master manipulator because he's red flag central with
Bella.
my
God.
So you think some flop like Riley he's going to give a shit about?
Oh my
and
God.
he doesn't.
It was so funny. And she's like, I love you. There's only been you. And Edward's like, no, she didn't make his
no,
name
bitch.
was James.
Right.
And as soon as he says James, it's on. The shit is
She is
on.
right. And so then he turns his manipulation powers onto her and is basically like, come on, bitch. Like, he don't even exist anymore because of me.
We have to talk about the Riley. They like zoom in on his face and he's like, you're dead. And I
Right.
laughed so
Girl.
hard I scared Rocket. I was like, what the fuck? Anyways, but yeah, so then Edward is like yelling at her and is like, you won't get
Right.
another chance like this, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I'm sitting there thinking, and this is what I wrote down. I said, why did Edward not fight her better? He presumably could hear her thoughts, and he keeps talking about James and like making it, and she was like vibrating. She was
She had. I said
and
after a
she's-
quick seizure, she attacked. Yeah.
right. And I'm like, why did
Literally.
you not, you knew she was going to, like, why did you not, I don't know. Like, I felt like there should have been a better, like, start to that fight.
Yeah, I don't know why. I guess because maybe it felt better if... well, he was probably trying to unnerve her, right? Because anyone who's fighting emotionally is, you're going to be reckless.
Sure. And then so what happens immediately is Seth runs out, bites Riley's arm off. So Riley has one arm, and he's just like...
Riley, yeah.
He's like, oh, he's screaming, whatever. And then...
And he's like, Victoria, help. And she's like,
bye. What did I say?
G2G.
I said Riley screaming at Victoria as he does, and her not giving a shit is how we shall be treating the fuckboys of the world.
Yep,
She just
yep.
didn't even. She looked at him and she was like, nah.
She just looked. Nothing.
But
No
then,
feel.
so then it gets a little hairy for a second
Yeah.
in Victoria and I think it was before Riley's arm got bit off, but the two of them kind of like get Edward.
Yeah, I think
so. Bella does actually
he knocks out Sam, and then they kind of gang up on
Edward, which again. You
Well,
can read thoughts, dude. You can move very fast. I know you don't want to leave Bella, but guess what? Sometimes you gotta make the sacrifice.
Well, and guess what? Desperate slag Bella pulls an old Queen
Well,
Loot trick.
And I said she does actually something smart for once. She
Cuts
does make
herself.
the correct move. I thought it was stupid in the book. I remember reading it and being like, "Wow, what a dumb bitch."
What
But
a
now
dumb bitch.
now in the movie, I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of smart."
Yeah.
And she cuts herself, and then Victoria and Riley are distracted enough, and I think that's when Riley loses his arm.
And then Sam comes back in and helps.
Yes, and he does that.
And so then basically, Edward basically bites off Victoria's
I
head, and I
know.
was like,
I wrote
what?
Edward biting Victoria's neck as an LOL. Like, why would you do that?
And I'm so confused because even in the battle,
it looked like she had blood coming out of her neck.
they
too.
would just like smack them, and their face would blow off, and they'd be dead. But I thought you
like
had to burn
stone.
them to die. So
No,
does their face grow back if they weren't? If they don't burn them?
No, I don't think so. I think it's because they're like stone. So like, well, you're right actually, because he's like you have to burn the pieces.
Right.
Well, maybe you have to burn the pieces so you get rid of the evidence because they're not going to decompose. They're like stone.
Or
so
would they like?
So if
would
you
they
don't
regenerate?
I don't think they'll regenerate. I think if they're dead, they're dead. I think if you cut off its head, I think if you break off a
Or
vampire's
like
head,
with
it's
her
done.
head? Is it? Oh,
Because he got his arm bit off and he was alive.
I guess. I don't know. I was confused.
I don't know. It was a little confusing. I did not understand why he went for her neck. Also, it looked like she was bleeding from the neck. If you notice, like,
Oh, I don't.
it looked like she had like a little bit of blood on. And I was like, where did that even come from? She doesn't bleed anymore. But that was weird. And then you see just her head, and I thought that was kind of hilarious. And Edward had a weird reaction to like being done. It looked like he was like freaked out. Do you remember that? He was like, he just kind of stood there, and I'm like, wouldn't you be like, yeah, bitch, suck it? Like, he didn't seem that excited that he killed her.
I don't know.
But then he immediately was like, we gotta go to we gotta go to the clearing because the Volturi are coming.
Right.
And so they all go down to the meadow or whatever, and they're all talking. They're like, the Volturi are coming, and the Cullens are like, you guys got to the Tilburrows. They're like, you guys got to get the fuck out of here because they're not going to honor anything.
They're not going to like that.
And as they're sort of leaving, a random old vampire comes out. Leah tries to attack him, and then Jacob. Like, she's kind of losing. Jacob runs up, and then the vampire gets his arms around Jacob, which they say don't do that, and squeezes and breaks him.
Strong.
And then I just need to know what your opinion is about Jacob in this scene. What do you think? I think he got what he deserved.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think.
And also, wouldn't he be naked when he faced back? He wouldn't wear any clothes.
See, I don't know. The phasing confuses me. That's why I'm always saying, like,
he'd have been naked in that meadow. I guarantee. Because remember in the
Desperate Slag Bella would have probably just jumped right on.
She like ran up to him. She's like, "Oh."
She's been like, "I've been looking to get dick down for about 24 hours."
And it was
now,
so funny because Carla was like, "Well, guess what? It's gonna your healing is speeding, so this is gonna be rough. But I got to deal with the Volturi. So I'll see you later." Like I was like,
"I'm
"Damn."
gonna let you finish," but
and it just, oh my god, I just,
yeah.
And
then
it
was
So the Volturi show up, and they're
pissed.
They're
like, oh, what's going? Because they know the tea.
Yeah, they so they figure out that.
And it was so funny because they were like, oh, so you took care of that all by yourself, and
oh yeah, that's right.
Carlisle was like, we were lucky. She goes, I doubt that.
Yeah, it was like fuck you, bitch.
I love her. I want to be her so bad.
And so
they're
Jane
is a bad bitch. That's what I
she
said.
is. And so then they show I think her name is Bree or whatever. There's another Stephanie Meyer wrote a book on the short life of Bree Tanner. That's this girl.
Oh,
that was one of the other books she wrote. So they have the little girl Bree, and Carlisle and Esme are like, we'll keep her. Like she said she wasn't going to do anything,
right.
and they're like,
she says no, bitch.
And they said, sorry. And they're like, explain your thing. And then Jane like gives her the pain, and then she was like, I don't know who created us. We said we couldn't talk about it because our thoughts weren't safe. And then they kill her. Which isn't that fucking true?
It was a little sad.
Well, before they kill her, then they're like, well, Ara will be interested to know that Bella's still human, and she's like, the date has been set.
Right. I know. It was like, girl, again,
why are we just saying like
you are a flop human. Sit down. Like,
why not just say like it's happening? Like why it's
right.
I don't know. Anyway, that maybe that. So then after this, it's just. So after this, then they cut to Carlisle coming out of the black home, and after Jacob's been screaming like a psycho because he had to re-break all of his bones to re-heal them, and Billy Black is very grateful to.
I did think that was cute. They were all very appreciative that he was doing it. But and then I was thinking, okay, well, isn't it weird that they hate all vampires? Like, isn't that, I don't know, like racist?
Yeah, I don't.
Like, they're Native American, like...
I know it's a little surprising.
It was a little surprising.
So, but they like shake hands, and then as Carlisle leaves, he looks at Bella and he's like, "Oh, Jacob's been asking for you," and I'm like, "That's weird," and I hate that because, ugh. And so Bella goes in there, and Jacob's like, "Oh my god, it was worth it for you." I just wrote "girl bye." No.
Well, Bella assumes the mantle of Delulu while Jacob is incapacitated because Jacob's like, "Look, you don't really know Edward," and she goes, "I know him." And I said, "Girl, he is like 108-year-old, and you've known him for 9 months."
Yeah, this has been maybe less than a year.
Barely a year, probably. And
yeah.
I'm like, girl.
And then he like,
girl, bye.
He like forces her to like admit that she has feelings for him, and I'm like, I said, making you admit your feelings makes you seem like you don't give a shit about her preference.
It's toxic.
I mean, really, it's just
toxic.
Like I just wrote, hate because it just because he was like. She was like, I am in love with you, but I'm choosing Edward. And I'm like, you don't even really love Jacob. Like, you don't. I do not think to this day that she is in love with Jacob Black. I really do not. I think she likes him, and I think, and again, spoilies. I think this is sort of their weird like connection before, the baby shows up on the scene, so he can imprint on the baby.
It's the embryo.
Yeah, it's the fetus. It's the clump of cells in her body.
Clump of cells in her body.
It's the eggs that actually, well, yeah, she probably would have had that egg in her body.
Maybe
because this is like. Well,
or he's just like a hot piece of ass and she's just confused.
I hated it. I was like, I hate this scene. And then he's like,
it was a lot
he's
more
also
toxic
like so
than I recall.
Well, and he's so sweaty and wet because of like the pain or I don't know. I hated it. I was like, I was so uncomfortable. Anyways, she like leaves and she's like, bye. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then they go back to the meadow.
Because why not?
Well, and then they're just like sitting in her wig in the meadow. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I know.
It's terrible. Her wig at the fight in that day was correct. That was fine. But anyways, they have this little thing, and he's just like, oh, are you going to like marry me now? And she's like, well, I've just never felt like more, I want to live my life. And I'm stumbling through my life and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I hate.
Yeah.
I hate.
It's your 13th reason. Yeah. It's like, yeah, you're like, this is it.
It was so, I'm like, ugh.
I know.
And I don't know if it was like the delivery. I don't know. It just was
it's
like
just
stupid.
Girl, pick a lane. Like 48 hours ago, you were like, dick me down and turn me into a vampire. And you're like, well, wait a minute.
Wait a sec.
Hold on.
Wait a sec. I just don't feel comfortable, and I want to live my life. And it is kind of funny because they do talk a lot about it in Breaking Dawn and then in the books too. Where like I believe it's Aro in Breaking Dawn that spoilies tells her like you were born to be a vampire, like you were, like your power, spoilies, and like all the things you can do, like you were born to do it, which is fine. But like her speech could have been shorter. Could have been like, you know what, I'll marry your stupid ass, even though you've like pressured me into it just because I want a bone.
Sure.
And whatever. And
Why
then
not?
Edward's like, you're gonna let Alice plan your wedding, your dress, and she's like, yeah, I don't give a shit. And I'm like, you know what? I've also felt seen because I did not like planning a wedding. It was awful. But anyways, I don't know. I just hated it. And so then they were like, oh, we're gonna do something. And Bella's like, we gotta go do something so dangerous. You just gotta do it. And he's like, oh, we gotta tell Charlie. And I'm like, I hate. And then the movie cuts, and I'm like, I cannot. I can't. Thoughts?
No, you're all,
that's
it's
the
too
movie.
Much. That's the movie. That's the movie.
That's it. That's it, kids.
It's more confused. I don't know. I like I said, I feel like the movie is more toxic than I recall the book being. But again, I was a teenager when I read the book, so maybe the book is toxic too.
I remember when I read the book, all of them. Eclipse was my favorite book. I remember Eclipse being my favorite because I think there was much more. Breaking Dawn was a close second for me, I think. But it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you'll have to stay tuned for our thoughts on Breaking Dawn.
We might have to take another break. I was telling Kyle off air, I'm going to have to prep myself to watch Breaking Dawn Part 2 because I have not watched it since I watched it in the theaters. If you've watched the movie, you know why. But
yeah,
I can't.
It's
a
wild ride.
Yeah, I can't. I started watching it and I had to stop.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, let us know your thoughts on Twilight. I know many of you are avid fans. I have several people who are like, we really love Twilight. Like, why you got to read it? And it's like, look, like you said, we got to.
We have to coming from a place of love.
Forward,
yeah, it's coming from a place of love. It's not like I don't hate it. I'm not. If you love it and you still love it to this day, I'm not shitting on you. I'm just saying.
It's different. You're right though. Like we've talked about before, it is different watching it now as an adult.
Yeah, and it's entertaining. And it is entertaining. Like it's a movie that if I was like doing stuff around the house, like I could put on the background and I'd be entertained.
I just don't like Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. I just can't stand them. Like their makeout scene, I was like, ugh.
The older they get, the more obviously older they get. Kristen Stewart doesn't get as like but Edward, like especially in the last movie, and we will talk about it. He looks like because he's almost 30 in the last movie, and he looks almost 30. But in like the first movie, he did look more teenagery, anyways.
Yeah, I just don't like him.
That was Eclipse, but
Eclipse.
I do have a little BuzzFeed quiz for us to take to wrap it up.
Of course.
So this is, and I took this when I first watched it, and I'm going to take this again, and I don't remember my answers, but if I get the same moment, I'm going to laugh. What extremely odd moment in the Twilight Saga Eclipse are you based on your Halloween preferences?
Oh.
So I love this for you.
I love that.
So.
I love Halloween.
You're going to tell me. Oh, there's so many. Okay. So first, pick a spooky song. Monster Mash, Somebody's Watching Me, This Is Halloween from The Nightmare Before Christmas, Ghostbusters, I Put a Spell on You from Hocus Pocus, and the Addams Family theme song.
Well, I Put a Spell on You from Hocus Pocus,
I figured.
Obviously.
Oh, I'm going to have to show you these because it says, now how will you decorate your front porch?
Oh.
And there's various pictures.
Okay. Okay, so we have a cat with some jack-o'-lanterns. Oh, that's like fall foliage. That's like 3 pumpkins. What is that?
Yeah, the porches are very, very vastly different.
Oh, I like this one with the little boo and all the lights. That's cute. I'm going to click on that one.
There might be more that are like, do this. Oh, yeah. Choose an aesthetic picture to set as your lock screen until November 1st. So sorry, you can hear all this in the background, everyone. So professional.
So professional.
It's just me flipping my laptop.
This little crescent orange moon.
Do you change your lock screen for holidays?
No.
I don't either.
No, my lock screen is various pictures of Edward and I because we're lesbians, and so every time you open it, it's a new picture.
Mine's mostly the dogs.
Well, who's surprised?
Who's your favorite witch? Sabrina Spellman. New Sabrina Spellman, not Teenage Witch.
Oh, okay.
The Sanderson sisters. Marnie Piper from Halloween Town. Hermione Granger. The witches from AHS Coven. Alexandra and Cameron from Twitches. I don't know that. Bonnie Bennett from the Vampire Diaries, the sisters from Charmed, the Weird Sisters, or the witches from The Craft. I don't know half these.
Sanderson sisters.
I figured you would say that. Mine's going to be Hermione Granger. What costume would you wear? A vampire, a witch, an iconic character, just a mask, ghost, no costume for me.
A witch.
The pictures they put with these are not as okay. And then this is okay. How would you decorate your jack-o'-lantern? And there's several different pictures. I don't know. Are you good at carving pumpkins?
No.
Okay, I'm so bad.
I don't have a creative bone in my body.
We carved pumpkins a long time ago, but I'm like the kiddie version, where you like do the triangles as the eyes, and then you're like.
Okay, I did the one with lights in it.
That's cute. That is a nice one. That looks like what I would carve. And then finally, what's your favorite spooky season activity? Watching Halloween movies, going to the pumpkin patch, all of the parties, making Halloween treats, going on a hayride, decorating.
Halloween movies.
So I'm like all of the parties. I'm like I don't think I've ever been.
Right? Who and read me. Oh, read me. I love it.
I love it.
What is
because
it? Jackie's
I can't even read it to you.
dying.
I need to look at your face.
Want me to?
It's Kristen Stewart's
It's
wig.
Kristen Stewart's wig. That's literally what it says. Kristen Stewart's wig. It was a look for
sure. Oh my god.
I'm dead.
Okay. I'll take
yours.
mine
Let's do
again
yours.
because
do you know what yours was?
I did it when I first watched it. I don't know. I can't remember all the. I remember a couple of my answers, but I don't remember the majority. Okay, so this is for me. What's my spooky song? I think for me, it's gonna be Somebody's Watching Me because I think that's a really funny.
That's
song.
a good one.
How will I decorate my front porch? We minimally decorate. Honestly,
what did you gonna pick?
I'm gonna pick the one that looks like little pumpkins. That's it. Like little pumpkins off to the side. That's it. That's what we do. I don't do anything. Choose an aesthetic picture to set as your lock screen. I'm gonna do the colored leaves. There was like a bunch of like
that one was that
purple
one was
and greens. Who's my favorite Return Hermione Granger? I'm so sorry. I like Sabrina Spellman, but from like the Melissa Joan Hart era. This is like
the new one's fine, but
Shipka show. What costume? I don't do costumes. For my jack-o'-lantern, I'm gonna pick the same one that Kyle did, which is like a traditional, but it's got lights all over it. And then, what's my favorite spooky season activity? I don't decorate and I don't make Halloween treats. I'm gonna say going to the pumpkin patch. I did get the same one. It's Bella telling her dad she's a virgin.
Oh, well.
The secondhand embarrassment was too much to handle.
It was.
It was true. That was my. I hated that.
Well, I love that we had an appearance by Bella's wig.
I can't believe you got
that's
crazy.
I
didn't take any of it to know what all the ones were. I love that for you too. I
wish. Can you see what all of them are? Can you see what all the responses are? Like, is there a way to
do
that?
No, I don't think you can. I wish they would do that though, because that would be nice. But no, they I think they used to be able to, but now you can't.
Maybe that goes against the
BuzzFeed
quiz code.
Well,
that was a lot.
There was a lot
to get through.
We're gonna probably take a minute before we do break it down. To be honest,
I watched.
This also might be a long episode, and/or we might have to break. We might legitimately have to break.
Part 1, part 2.
Yeah, I hate to do it, but I think it's the movies themselves. I think are the longest movies, especially the part 2.
Well, we'll just have to see what all we have to. We have to dissect.
But anyways, it's been fun. If you like this, please let us know. Tag Stephanie Meyer and all of our stuff. Maybe she'll come on.
We'll have her on.
I will make a list of questions I have for her because I do have quite a few.
She would. Probably heathens.
I did tell you this, but maybe I should mention this on the podcast. So after I was finished with Midnight Sun, because Midnight Sun was actually pretty good, I Googled like if she's gonna write another one from Edward's perspective. Because honestly, I would love to read New Moon from his perspective, because like he was not in New Moon hardly at all. And it came upon an article that she is writing new Twilight books. Has not just said if it's like Edward, Bella, or if it's like, surrounding. I think it's going to be like Renesmee, the daughter. Spoilies. I think it's going to be surrounding her and not Edward and Bella in the family. But I bet it'll be like Renesmee and Spoilies.
I think that would be fun.
I think it wouldn't be terrible. I guess she's written a couple chapters already and is like considering doing more.
As long as she's a fucking adult while she's dating Jacob.
Yeah. We'll talk.
We'll have to. Yeah,
that's gonna be tiring.
That's gonna take a lot.
That's gonna be tired.
That's gonna take a lot of our time.
That's gonna be tired because that is the ethical problems.
The legal problems.
The legal and the ethical problems of Breaking Dawn are going to be quite vast. In several ways.
Gray.
There are
a lot of gray area.
Not just the baby teenager connection. There's I don't want to. I won't spoil it anymore.
Let's just leave it at that.
There's so many other things that we can talk about. Anyways, so yeah, if you like this, please like and subscribe. Is that what they say?
I don't know. Who knows anymore?
If you like, please rate us.
If you don't like us, let us know.
We don't give a shit. It's fine. I've not had any hate mail.
Yeah, we need more of it.
Well,
people just say how much they love us.
I know.
It's crazy.
We love you guys too.
Some of you.
Well, we won't say it.
We won't.
Anyways, hope you all stay tired.
And Betty.